He looks like Matilda's daddy that sells cars.
Danny DeVito?
I think he danced in front of us for about an unnecessarily long time.
Based on a rundown.
Featuring Val. Yours truly. We're talking about
other players. There was Maddox, Glavin, Smoltz, Avery.
Is John, hit us with it.
This is all pointless right now because you have no idea what anyone's going to do in free agency.
Jeff Blauser, Chipper Jones.
I was going to say, where's Chipper?
His English is not tremendous.
Oh, whoa, what the heck?
I remember when Doug Flutie had got benched for that 6'5", just athletic quarterback who was trash.
I'm sorry to say this. I don't think he's been that good.
Oh, whoa, what the heck?
Still, if Kevin Pritchard walked up to me, I wouldn't know.
I don't think anybody is going to shy away from calling things to be corrupt and money grabbers.
This is Crime Dog right here. This is D Crime. This is Fred McGriff.
My whole thing
they
is
had a chance to do that with Dak.
I never said
Music on? Is that me?
No, it's a fucking train. I'll mute myself until it passes.
So everything I say right now can be changed in a month and a half.
I'd say it F the Chiefs.
Whoever wants to go back on the business side of things,
I'm enjoying the game.
I just
I don't know what you guys are talking about. I want
He
to.
just told that.
Are officially live.
Oh boy, my heart is beating fast right now.
Hello.
We're back.
We're back after a long hiatus, mostly
Not as
because
long as
of
our first one, but
the first one was damn near a decade.
Yeah.
This one was 2 weeks. I would blame most of it on depression because of the fact that we can't seem to win a gosh darn baseball game.
Yep, that goes for professionally and amateurly.
But it's crazy how the parallels exist between our team and the Chicago Cubs. Both teams have decent pitching. Both teams okay in the field, and both teams cannot hit.
But should hit.
They
have the bats to hit.
And that's where so I put I was thinking about it and thinking about why, who have we lost? What all has happened? You got Dylan who went to go be a firefighter for God knows what reason.
Before we get into this, hold on. Just want to say it is 4:21 and it is 9:03, and this is GJ Radio. So we almost lost it there. It's all right.
Man, that's how long it's been.
Yep.
We had a nice flow going. Episode 12, dude.
Yeah.
Episode 12. I think last
time.
So
anyways.
Anyway, we're missing Dylan, who's a firefighter.
But in and
Jeff,
out.
who has to, sporadically go be a police officer. Adam can't pitch because of his rotator cuff. Yep. John Cohn goes and becomes a doctor in Oregon. There's a lot of pieces in the top of the order are missing.
Yeah. Well, and, I got my first base hit last night, so that didn't help things.
I booped a routine ground ball to second base.
Just things out of the ordinary. Just a lot of rust.
A lot of rust. 5 games worth of rust, dude.
Yeah.
We find ourselves in quite the hole.
And I think a lot of it was the first 4 games we played. I mean, I don't know where all these gunslingers are coming from, but guys throwing 85 to 88.
So that's what
corners on every team.
That's what my buddy
Irvin
really.
It's been killing my confidence at the plate. So I'm like, my goodness, can I just get someone that's just lobbing it over the plate? Finally got that last night. But those first 4 games, I mean, it's lose a lot of confidence, and I think it plays a lot of effect on a lot of guys.
Yeah,
even if you go up and Rob should have crushed that guy, and he's swinging and missing. Jimmy was swinging and missing until he finally squared it up. I think it all kind of plays in the confidence of guys.
No, absolutely. Like Irvin, one of my buddies on the Bears, texted me today saying how he's like, man, the league's gotten really competitive all of a sudden. And I was like, yeah, dude, it sucks. Like, are we getting old? Is this what getting old feels like? Is this why they have the 30 and up leagues?
Yeah, I was thinking about that yesterday as well. I was like, man,
almost there.
I'm ready for that 35 and up league where guys are just kind of getting it over the plate.
just struggling to get it over. And hey, that's where we shine right there. That's where we thrive. But yeah, okay, enough negative talk about us specifically and our team. Let's talk about the negativity surrounding the Chicago Cubs.
Yeah, I saw a. Let's just get right into it. I don't
sure,
know
they're
if
winning now, but what does that mean?
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen Javi Baez stats lately.
Well, let's go ahead and.
I think he has something like 39 strikeouts to 1 walk this season.
That's not good. Not good at all.
Not good. Not good at all. So he's on pace for like 313 strikeouts this season.
Is he?
But also 40 bombs. So yeah, it's and to watch him play, usually you're not going to get a lot of walks out of Javier Baez, and you're going to get swings and misses on pitches way outside of the strike zone. But this year, it's, he's missing fastballs in the strike zone, breaking balls in the strike zone, and just, flat out missing it. So I don't know what his problem is. And I think it's really going to hurt him because
well, yeah, but is it
he's
going to
in a contract year? So
yeah, is it going to continue? Is the thing. Like he said, a big part of the reason why he was struggling to hit was because they took away the ability to watch video, in between. That's when he would make his adjustments and stuff like that. But at the same time, dude, like we don't get video. Like nobody else has video either.
Yeah, everybody's on the same.
Like, is anyone else seeing this kind of statistical drop off that he's having right now?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he brings so much to the table with his glove and base running and all of that. But, I mean, batting 194. I mean, he's 0 for 2 today. I think he reached on an error in the 7-run inning for the Cubs. But, yeah, it just seems like he's just at the plate, just confused. I think it really is playing into him. He's not used to guys going right at him. And right now, people just aren't threatened by him. So they're going right at him. And I think that's messing with him even more with that confidence. And like, oh, God, now they're coming at me and I can't even put the bat on the ball. So, but, the good news, Contreras is swinging the bat well. Chris Bryant's swinging the bat well. So, once the Cubs do have a fire sale, those guys, their asking price goes up. So
that's the thing. It's like it's pretty much a done deal, I guess, huh? That these guys are getting moved.
Yeah, I think Rizzo probably ends up staying and signing on. Hoyer came out and said they're going to go spend money. I will believe that when I see it. But this is, I mean, you're a big market. This is a easily, retooling. Suck this year, trade Baez for as much as you can, trade KB, trade Contreras. You got Miguel Amaya coming up, who's a stud catcher, and then go sign like Corey Seager or Trevor Story or someone like that. It's a big free agent shortstop class. So you're not going to replace Javier Baez, but
he is leading the league in stolen bases.
Yeah, I think he's on pace for like 50 stolen bases, 40 bombs. But he is also on pace for 313 strikeouts. So,
which is unbelievable. Like 2 strikeouts. That's what we would do.
He's only got 1 walk. He's only got 1 walk. Yeah.
That's what we would do, honestly. Like he only had 7. He's okay. So Javi's never been one to walk bases.
No, he's not.
He's never had a great on base percentage.
And he always strikes out a lot, but not this much. 31 strikeouts.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it looks like the Cubs are going to end up winning tonight, so they'll be what, 7-9 or 8-9?
8-9, yep.
Which, look, the season's not lost.
Yeah, the NL Central is very winnable. I mean, it's not. Cardinals aren't going to run away with it. Brewers are going to stay mid-pack. The Reds haven't, looked that great, and the Pirates suck. So, I mean, if these guys can figure it out, KB, Wilson Contreras is already doing that. We're getting pretty decent pitching outside of our number 1, who always pitches bad in April, then turns it on. this is a very winnable division.
Jake
Well, I think-
Arrieta's been surprisingly good.
Yeah, I think it's going to be okay. We win the division, we lose in the first round. Is that worth it to lose Chris Bryant? Chris Bryant's not going to come back next year. There's just no way. Scott Boras, they always get into free agency. He's gone. So I think you kind of sit there and think, okay, we've got to get rid of Bryant. If we get rid of Bryant, is that going to spark a fire sale? Get as much as we can for, the value that we have.
Does that mean move Rizzo?
I think Rizzo probably stays. And I don't think I've gone back and forth on this. I don't know. I don't think the Cubs are going to do just a total rebuild for the next 6-7 years. I think they will end up spending money, but I think that's money's going to be spent on Rizzo, and then it's going to be spent on maybe one of the big shortstops in free agency. I would probably say Trevor Story, not Corey Seager.
Lindor signed that huge deal this year.
Yeah,
but
Baez will be on the market. I think we let him walk if we don't trade him, but his value is not very high. So I think we'll spend money there. I think I like Bodie at third base. Nico Horner,
he can play
second
anywhere
base
in the infield
next year. So that would be a pretty good young infield outside of Rizzo. If you have Story, you have Bodie, you have Nico, then you have Miguel Amaya come up at catcher. And then you got Happ in center. Still going to have Jay Hay and right if they don't try to trade him.
they're never. Well, they can't trade him. They owe him $20 million a year for the next 3 years.
Trade.
Like nobody wants to keep that
spend money,
contract.
get maybe a lefty in left field, or get some pitching. They're going to trade Craig Kimbrell, who's pitching lights out. So he's going to have a ton of value for a contender.
He is yet to give up an earned run this year so far through 8 innings. So
Andrew Chafin's going to get traded. He'll go to a contender. Someone will give up too much for that. There's pieces to be traded. There's value that we can get and not totally have to flip the script. So, but can also start building that farm system again for the future. So,
yeah, I was going to say they don't have a whole lot of prospects as far as they don't have really pitching prospects or positional players in their farm system. They got that shortstop that they drafted last year.
Yeah, Ed Howard. Braylon Marquez is good.
Right, but he's the only real pitching prospect. They traded Dylan Cease like 2 years ago. He ended up being pretty good.
Baez just hit a grand slam as we're talking shit about him. So
we need to talk more crap about Javi.
Yeah.
Good for you, Javi. Good for you.
Yeah.
How many strikeouts has he had today?
Has not struck out yet. So he's 1 for 3, scored 3 runs, and has 4 RBIs. So
I don't know about you, but I'm willing to do a show every single Cubs game if this is the kind of result.
Yeah.
Can really turn things around.
I don't think we're in the worst position. I don't think we're like in 2010 and 11. But I think it's definitely going to be a lot of new faces. And for your non-avid Cubs fans, they're going to lose a lot of interest pretty quick. But it's still the Cubs. It's still Wrigley, so people are still going to tune in and watch. So at least from a Cubs fan perspective. But that also leads into my next question, and not to segue here, we can continue to talk about the Pacers or about the Cubs. But I was thinking about the Pacers today, and it kind of correlates with the Cubs. If you make the playoffs and you go one round and you're going to lose in the first round, or on the flip side of things, you can just start tanking. From a fan perspective, what would you want to do if you know that tank isn't going to solve your problems next year? If the Cubs tank, if the Cubs side, okay, fire sale. I mean, we're not going to go get Jack Leiter, right? Because it's not based off of this year's record; it's based off of last year's record. So,
right.
Pacers, if we tank, we will, maybe get a top 10 pick at this point. Latter half of the top 10, probably not going to solve a lot of the issues that they currently have. So would you rather roll the dice? Let's get the playoffs. Anything can happen in the playoffs. So and it doesn't have to just
That's
you didn't have to
true.
involve the Cubs and Pacers, but for any team, what would you rather have? Let's roll the dice. We may lose in the first round again, or we can tank and maybe set ourselves up for the future in like 3-4 years. But that's going to have to take a little bit more commitment to the tank than it is, 1 year. Look at the Suns. They tanked for like 15 years, and now they're finally good. So there's no given that if you tank, you're going to get better in the near future. There's going to have to be a pretty big commitment to the tank, especially, small market, big market. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, like what did the 76ers have to show for it?
Yeah, if you're not winning championships, then you might as well tank, right?
But that's the thing. So like, I'm with you. I'm going back and forth on it because it's like, as a Bears fan last year, I was really hoping that they would, they started off like 5-0 and then, lost 4 or 5 straight from there and somehow limped in at 8-8. I was hoping that they would just go 5-11 because
you have no grandeur of winning a Super Bowl last year.
No, and
but it's fun to win.
Right, and you go 8-8 or whatever, and you sneak in, and maybe you win a game, or there's nothing better than running the table and beating the odds. The Cubs won the World Series as wild cards.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like there is the part of me that is like, yes, playoffs. It's a new season. Nothing matters that happened in the season. But then you've got teams that are just absolutely loaded, and if they just play to 80% of their potential, they're going to beat every single team in the league. So it does kind of feel like we made it to the conference finals, and then we got to play the Lakers, and LeBron and AD are just going to beat up on us. And we made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, and the Nets are going to beat up on us. Do we want to participate in that whole thing? If we already kind of know what the outcome is, but isn't there something fun as a fan of just like it being your team and you hoping that just having that hope? Like that's what sports is all about to me. Tanking in the long run, I guess I see it, but it makes the product suck, man. You want to talk about how professional sports leagues, baseball, basketball, NFL, every league is trying to reach younger audiences, and it doesn't do well for teams that, like, in a big market that commit to, we're going to suck for 5 years, and all of these kids who live in the area are just going to have a team in their city that just sucks. Yeah. And, let's hope that they still like them. Like, I wasn't the biggest Mavericks fan growing up as a kid because they were awful. Like in elementary school, like they were having to come, they were showing up and giving away tickets and stuff. Like the Mavs were terrible.
You got Sean Bradley walking in there and
right. Okay, to be fair though, Sean Bradley was like a really, really nice guy and super involved. So I think he probably, and
he was like 7'4", so
and he was in Space Jam. So you see the guy like more so. It didn't really matter that he was an NBA player at that point. It was like, oh my gosh, that guy was the giant alien in Space Jam. Like, oh my gosh, Sean Bradley. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to do those types of things. But like, if your team just sucks, dude, and like your ownership and your management is committing to being bad, like what kind of incentive as a younger fan do you have to like want to watch that team and like want to follow them later on? So it's like,
because those younger fans become adults and then they're not super into that team, and they've probably picked another team by that point to root for. So
like that, it's primarily the reason why we're not Ranger fans, because it's like they were awful. Both of my dad was a Cubs fan, so rather than like the team down the street, I gravitated to what he liked, because it's like, well, both teams suck. If I'm gonna if I'm gonna follow a team, it's gonna be the team with my dad as opposed to the team right here, because there's something in common there. Like,
and you could stay home and watch the Cubs on WGN,
right?
So
like
that helped.
I wish, had everything worked out with A-Rod and him, the Rangers have been successful with him on the team, then I probably would have ended up being a Rangers fan. But like, that's to go back to, as a fan, do I want my team to commit to tanking in hopes that, maybe in the kind of near future, like 4 or 5 years from now, we're really, really good? Like, because you don't have that, there's not that guarantee. Like you said,
Right.
the Suns have been committed to being terrible for quite some time, and they're okay.
And I think from, like you said, from a younger fan perspective, it's, a lot of those kids decide just for different teams because they don't want to sit around and watch a bad team. And also from an older fan, like from where I stand and where you stand, I don't have time to sit around and watch a bad team. Like,
no,
I struggle to. I deleted my MLB TV app. I ended my subscription when the Cubs were losing to the Pirates. I don't have time, nor do I want to spend the money to watch a team that's just going to piss me off, night in, night out. So, and I'm not going to go find a new team, but I'm not going to continue to pour my money into a team that is not going to pour their money back into the team. So, this is a PG 13 show, Chris McMurray. So we're going to keep our shirts on. But yeah, I'm not going to continue to pour money into the Cubs if they're not going to, show the same willingness. Now, apples to oranges, but the same willingness to do that for the product on the field. So I say that, but I still, pay attention and watch every Cubs game. It's a curse. It's a disease,
dude. It's a sickness. It's a sick addiction.
But I don't do that for the Pacers either. I mean, the Pacers are going to keep, getting mid-tier guys and whatnot. I don't have any NBA TV, and I'm not going to pay attention as closely to Pacers games. Like today, we had, all five of our centers out. We started a 6-7 guy at center. So,
Chris, if the Mavericks lose tonight, I'll take my shirt off at the end of the show because I'm wearing my Luka jersey because the Mavericks are playing. They're up by 9 right now, so it looks pretty good. So they're up by 11 right now, so it looks pretty good. So I'm not.
Who I'm interested in keeping tabs on tonight is that Memphis Clippers game, because Memphis they're sitting in the 8th seed, and they just got Jaren Jackson Jr. back.
Really?
First game of the season, and he's 1 for 1. In his first minute of playing, he's 1 for 1 for the 3-pointer. So, and they're 21-9 on the Clippers.
Excuse me. Going back to what you said though about like teams with a following and like fans and being interested in the game. Memphis is the perfect example of a team with a loyal fan base.
Yep.
And like fans nationally too. Like I'm a fan of Memphis basketball. Like
grit and grind, baby.
Dude, grit and grind, but they play like they get that from how many superstars have the Grizzlies ever had? None. And
yeah, I don't think you put Zach Randolph or Marc Gasol or Pau Gasol in that territory.
No, and like there's a reason it's not the biggest market. But also the Grizzlies, like they make the playoffs pretty consistently.
Yep.
And
they're tough outs.
Right. They play everybody hard, but everybody knows that. It's sort of just an understood thing. And you get that reputation from being that kind of team. They've never been the kind of organization that says, you know what? We're going to get a 7 seed this year anyway. Might as well not even try.
Yeah.
Might as well just sit it out. Let's go ahead and tank and get last place when we could have made the playoffs and given our fans something to be excited about. Instead, we're just going to put a terrible product out there on the court and that it is what it is. And then we're going to blame our fans for turning their backs on us or whatever.
Yep.
As though you're supposed to see, that's the thing. As a fan, I hate you're a fair weather fan because you didn't sit around through the bad times. No, I'm a great fan because I'm not going to give my money to an organization that is literally not using it to make the product better. Like if I'm going to support an organization, a team that's going to, use the resources to improve themselves.
Yeah. And as a Pacers fan, I will hand it to ownership. I mean, the Pacers are always in the playoffs. Right. Unfortunately, always a first round exit. But that ownership, they're not going to tank. And honestly, the roster is not so bad where they're going to do that. A lot of injuries this year, but a little bit part of me is like, God, I've seen what you've done for the Suns. Do that for me. Like, man, because even if we get a top 5 pick per se in the next couple of years, he's going to walk on his contract year. Nobody wants to stay in Indy, so that's the other problem.
And I was going to say, no one wants to stay in Indy. And can you name Paul George was probably the last star to play for the Pacers.
Sabonis has been back.
I was going to say, do you want? I mean, but is he?
I wouldn't really put him as a star. And actually, I was talking to someone the other day. I think they should trade Sabonis, maybe for some picks. I think if we're going between Turner and Sabonis, I mean, when Turner's out, we give up 100. We score 140 points, but we give up 135 points.
Yeah,
when Turner's in the lineup, we score like 115, but we only give up 107. And those aren't real stats. But the defense is so much better with Turner that I think there's enough scorers on that squad that, I don't think Sabonis, Turner, I think the defense for Turner moves the needle a little bit more than the offense from Sabonis. I love Sabonis. I think he gets better every year. I think he's really good, but I wouldn't put him as a star. I think you have to draft that. I mean, Oladipo was becoming that before he blew out his quad. He was a top 10 player before he did that. But that was only for a year. Paul George, before he blew out his leg, he was a top 5 player for
real quick,
a couple of years.
Do you know that the Pacers had drafted Kawhi
Leonard? Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. Yeah. And then we traded him for George Hill.
I looked that up today. I didn't know that. I looked it up. I was like, wait a minute. Why was Kawhi drafted by the Pacers? Why would the Pacers do this?
Yeah, but he was drafted like number 15. It wasn't like everybody was like, oh, this guy's a for sure lock. And honestly, I've had to come to terms with this. So there's been a lot of arguments in my mind on, why we did that and what could have been. I think Kawhi, because when Kawhi came in the league, he was elite defensively, but he wasn't that good of a shooter. He didn't have, that attack mode. He didn't have all these things.
No.
But he went to the Spurs, who are the best player development team in the world. And so he just kept on adding to his craft and getting better. Now, was that all the Spurs? Was that just Kawhi? Kawhi was going to do that either way. Who knows? I think, he went to the perfect situation for himself, and they crafted him into the machine he is today. Who's to say that's going to be the same thing in Indy? And also, if he couldn't handle in San Antonio, he wasn't going to stay in Indy for very long. So, but Paul George, Kawhi Leonard would have been nasty. But I also say, they play the same position. So
as we see now, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George is pretty good together.
Yeah. And maybe if Paul George doesn't blow out his leg because he wasn't asked to do everything, so he's got Kawhi Leonard. So, all the what ifs are there. And that team could have been nasty, but I think Kawhi got a lot better with the Spurs. I don't know if he would have gotten as good with the Pacers, but
that was one of those. That was one of those picks that they got a 15th overall pick, but it wasn't a top 5. The Pacers don't get top 5, top 10 picks.
We're never in the lottery. We're always in the playoffs. So.
And if you miss the playoffs, you barely miss it, and you end up getting the 14th or 13th pick. All it took for the Mavericks was 1 year of getting a top 5 pick, and then their whole franchise is fixed, seemingly.
Well, and see, that's also the thing I struggle with now is because guys are getting so much better, so much younger of ages. That's like, it just takes 1 year really to get in the top 5. And I mean, even Trae Young, that Atlanta squad is pretty good. I think he actually got helped off the court, so hopefully he's okay today. But that Atlanta squad, I mean, they just ripped off like 8 in a row and had the best, March and April in the league. So
are they going to make the playoffs?
They're going to make the playoffs. They fired their coach, and then Nate McMillan comes in, and they go like 9-1, and he gets coach of the month. And
the guy knows what he's doing. Nate McMillan, he's always known what he's doing.
Yeah, I was a little frustrated when the Pacers let him go last year or this year, but he just. It's kind of he's a defensive mentality, and I think him going to the Hawks where they had a bunch of offense but no defense, I think it was a perfect situation. But they're 32-26. I mean, they're squarely in the 4 seed with the Knicks on their trail. But
so, How do you feel about this whole playing game thing? I think it's stupid. I think that this whole like 7, 8, 9, 10, like what the heck?
Yeah, I really haven't had time to really wrap my mind around it and on how it actually is going to work. I don't love it because I would love Pacers are sitting squarely at 9 right now, and
you don't mind.
Yeah, no, I'd just rather miss the playoffs at this point. So and get in the lottery.
Get some ping pong balls.
Yeah. So I don't know how that's all going to be affected, but the East, you could probably cut it off at 6, and there you go. But the West, I think the West it really helps that conference because all those. I mean, the Warriors are the 10 seed, and Steph Curry's playing at a unreal level. So
nobody wants to play against Steph.
Yeah.
So
I think in the West it really helps, but I think the trade-off is the East is you're going to have the Hornets, the Pacers, and the Wizards, and those 7, 8, 9, 10, and the Heat 7, 8, 9, 10 seeds, and the Heat are head and shoulders above the Hornets, Pacers, and Wizards. Although Hornets, LaMelo Ball's coming back, he's pretty electrifying. So. But yeah, I don't love it. I don't love it for the East. I do think it's interesting for the West because you do have a team like the Warriors sitting at 10 right now. But I think they did it because they want to see Zion in the playoffs as much as possible, and they're sitting at the 11th seed, but they're 3.5 back. So the NBA just caters to Zion and the Pelicans. So.
It wants a Zion. Well, they just released a shoe. It wants Zion in the playoff.
Yeah.
Like my whole thing is you play like what's the point of the entire season if you're just if everybody makes the playoff and then you just have like a little tournament or whatever. Like I'm kind of getting around.
Is this because the Mavs are sitting at the 7th seed and they're going to have to play Steph Curry in the 10th seed?
So yes, and dude, is it a 1-game tournament? Like, is it a 1-game playing situation?
I don't know. I would think it's probably like best of 3. That might be a good Google.
NBA playing tournament. Frequently asked questions on NBA.com.
FAQs. Yep.
It
looks like it's just 1 game.
Here we go. We'll go ahead and let's see. The frequently asked a play-in tournament. That's not a tournament. It's just a playing game. This isn't a tournament.
So 8 and 9 and 10 seed will play each other, and then they'll play the loser of the 7 and 8. And then the 7 and 8 get into the playoffs.
Okay.
So if whoever wins the 7 and 8 seed gets into the playoffs, and then they had to play the loser or the winner of the 9 and 10. So the loser of the 7 and 8 has to play the winner of the 9 and 10. So basically, if the Mavs win their first game versus the 8 seed, who is currently
so really, if the Mavericks lose 2 in a row, they're out. That's that simple. The Mavericks get 2 chances. The 2 lower seeds get 1 chance.
Yeah.
And
so they would have to beat the Grizzlies, and they're in. If they lose, they'd probably have to face Steph Curry and the Warriors.
Yeah. Okay. I'm zooming in on
to
this
make it. So. Yeah, I mean, like I said, for the West, like it's cool. I think it'd be cool to see Steph get that 10 seed and then see what happens. Because I think he could go for like 90 in those games combined. But if I'm a Mavs or Grizzlies fan, I would just rather be in the playoffs and not have to worry about winning, a game. But
you've been busy winning the others to get there. You
after playing 72 games this season.
Is this so that teams can say that they made the playoffs, or is this to like somehow make it, because it doesn't make the postseason more competitive. It doesn't make it doesn't make the matchups between 1 and 8 and 2 and 7 more competitive by having some sort of playing game to make those lower seeds even more exhausted than like they're already worse. So now you're making them like play potentially 2 games before, like either way, some team that is making the playoffs and getting the 8th seed is having to play 2 games prior to the postseason even starting. So on top of being the 1 seed, you now have 2 games like rest that this other team has had to play. And you're like, at that point, it's just making it easier. At that point, it's making it less competitive is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I agree. I think from a viewership standpoint, and I love to watch Steph Curry play. So from a viewership standpoint on the West side, now from the East side, like if the Pacers are the 9 seed, I'm probably begrudgingly tuning in. But anybody who's less of a fan than me, which is a lot of people, they're not tuning into Pacers versus Wizards, and then Pacers versus whoever the 8th seed is right now, another awful team.
Right, they want to see Zion. They want to see Zion, and they want to see Steph.
So no one's going to tune in the East, but on the West side,
and the only way to make that happen,
the
only way to make that happen, was to like give them some sort of like nerf playoff system or nerf tournament to get into the playoffs where these Imagine Steph versus Luka in a play-in game to make the playoffs. The intensity is going to be high in that game. Viewership is going to be high in that game. Now, would I rather see Luka play in a 7-game series and not lose in a play-in game? Absolutely. Would I like to see Steph play in a 7-game series and not lose in a playoff game? Would I like to see John Morant play in a 7-game series and not in a play-in game? Yeah, but if they've got to duke it out to see who gets it in a 1-game matchup where the stars are just going to have to go off, that's cool for me on the West and the Western Conference. But in the Eastern Conference, I'm like, no interest. So talking it out is like, it's making me realize now that, you're absolutely right. This is all done for the sake of,
we had to get there with this 10-minute long conversation. Do you think other people are having that in their mind? So I get what you're saying. I think, we had to talk ourselves into watching this. I think lesser fans are going to have a tougher time talking themselves into.
Well, no, they're just going to see, on television playoffs, Luka, Steph.
Yeah, true.
1 game, play-in tournament. Oh my gosh, this is a do or die game. Backs against the wall. Win or go home. Wow. All the announcers get to say all the cliche things, this is do or die time, win or go home. They either win or they lose.
Yeah. The bubble was super intense. So, I don't know. I guess it is what it is. I think the NBA they do a pretty good job at marketing things and getting viewership. People might say otherwise, but I think they're in great hands with the athletes that they currently have to market compared to like the MLB.
It's also basketball is easy because it's cheap. All you need is a ball and a hoop.
And I think
international game.
NBA Twitter is probably the biggest prospective sports Twitter in the world. So I think that definitely plays into the hands of the NBA, and imagine all the trash talking on Twitter, for these playing games. So for like the Western Conference. So
again, it all goes back to it's like, we don't really care about the 7, 8, 9, 10 seeds in the East because they're just gonna get knocked out after the first round. But the West though has Steph and it has Zion. We need Zion,
Luka.
We can't have Zion not in the playoffs.
Yeah, although he's still probably he's 3.5 games out of the playoffs, so he's still probably gonna miss it. But the NBA did their damnedest to try to get him in there. So
NBA. So I bet the 9 or 10 seed suddenly like have a COVID issue.
Yeah, the Spurs are already kind of like sitting people out, and they fined them for it. But
knowing Popovich, they're going to make the 10 seed and end up winning the 2 games and
Yeah.
winning a couple of series in there. Like that's just he's
Yeah.
doing it on purpose. He's just showing off at this point.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I can only name a Spurs player because
DeMar DeRozan.
not named DeMar DeRozan because Pacers backup center headbutted Patty Mills the other day. And got
I was going to say,
suspended for it. So
that's the same one as me, though. Patty Mills is the only other Spur that I know of.
The Aussie.
Because he's been there forever.
Yeah, I know they got a guard, I think, from Miami, from the U. But I couldn't.
Barry Larkin Jr.?
No. Man, I'm going to have to.
What happened to that guy?
Real quick. Yeah, he didn't quite make. I think he was a Celtic for some time. They got DeJounte Murray.
Oh, that's okay. And he's good, too.
Yeah, he's good. He didn't go to the U, though. He went to Washington.
No.
Jacob Poeltl, former Utah center. Is that correct?
I thought it was.
Yeah.
Well, I honestly don't know what it was. I thought it was Podol.
Yeah, something like that. Rudy Gay, Gorky Gang.
Man,
Lonnie Walker, I think, is the Miami guard I was thinking of.
There's a whole bunch of kids who have no idea, like a whole bunch of San Antonio young fans probably out there who have no idea that Rudy Gay used to jump out of the gym.
Yeah.
It used to be like the guy in Memphis.
The biggest slasher, just didn't really shoot that well, but couldn't stop him getting to the rim.
He was so big and strong and fast. Like he was just an athletic freak. He and Brandon Roy were both really good at the same time. And that's like, and then Brandon Roy, obviously, what happened to his knee? Man, he was good.
Yeah.
Grizzlies.
Grit and grind.
Man, those Grizzlies teams just fell apart. Like as far as just like guys whose bodies couldn't take it.
Yeah, I mean Zach Randolph's body just took a lot of hits. But then they had like Tony Allen and Marcus Gasol.
Yeah,
those kids were fun.
Physical. I know we just go back to those teams, but like back to the Spurs though. They haven't had anyone of note. They had they signed LaMarcus Aldridge a few years ago when he was healthy enough to play basketball, but for the most part they. Popovich is just showing off and making the playoffs with a bunch of nobodies.
Yeah, and really with LaMarcus Aldridge, they had, I think, maybe 1 or 2 years of the good LaMarcus Aldridge, and then they had kind of a shell who was still, very good, but wasn't
14 and 8, but wasn't as 22 and 10 dominant self that he was out in Portland, which is a shame. And then it's sad that he plays 2 games in New Jersey and suddenly his heart, or excuse me, not New Jersey, Brooklyn. God,
Brooklyn. Yeah,
have you done that? Have you done that before?
Oh yeah. I do miss those old Nets teams, Jason Kidd and RJ and Kenyon Martin,
Vince Carter.
I didn't like him when the Pacers had to play him, but
man,
those teams were fun.
That was the least competitive NBA Finals, though. The Lakers just ran through the Jason Kidd Nets. Yeah,
but they did that to a lot of Eastern Conference teams. I mean, the Pacers went 4 games. I don't think they won a game in 2000.
I think the
Lakers.
I think the 76ers won 1.
Yeah, if that. I think maybe they won the game, the Iverson step over game.
Yeah, that was the only.
That might have been the only game they won. And then finally, the Pistons kind of turned it around and started battling with them. But
I didn't realize that Pistons team was like the best defensive team, possibly like one of the best defensive teams in the NBA.
Yeah, Rasheed Wallace and Ben Wallace, and Billups could always guard. Young Billups could guard. And Tayshaun Prince was a great wing defender. And then they could really Hamilton. They could really hide Rip Hamilton on defense with those 4 guys. So
yeah, because he didn't really play a whole lot of defense.
No, his body wasn't very strong.
Well, I mean, he was just a shooter. It was interesting. I was watching some like Michael Jordan post Bulls like with the Wizards documentary or some video on YouTube or something like that. and it talked about. I had totally forgotten that Michael Jordan, the owner / general manager, had traded away Rip Hamilton from the Wizards for an older Jerry Stackhouse because he was wanting to, make the playoffs and give himself one last go. So he was like, you know what, we're going to trade away this young future all-star and we're going to get Stack, and I'm going to play with Stackhouse. And
when Stack went to North Carolina, right after Jordan did, and people thought, he was going to be the next, big thing.
They're
next
both
to Jordan.
Both 6'6", 6'7", shooting guards. They both attack the rim and hit mid-range jump shots. Their games were very similar.
Yeah, except one was the one, and then Jerry Stackhouse wished he was. But as we're talking, I'm watching this Clippers Grizzlies game, and here's a Zion commercial. He's not super marketable to me. I mean, it doesn't seem like he doesn't have this big personality or anything. Great dunker and an efficient scorer, but
I was going to say he seems like he's very about the game. He's very about He's not.
He's
too
very
concerned.
Mike Troutish to me.
Yes.
But the NBA is doing their damnedest to try to market him as. I think John Morant's probably more marketable. He seems like he's got kind of a bigger personality and his game's electric, but
he's not. He doesn't get he's not this giant bowling ball of a human being who's flying.
Had 8th
40.
grade dunking competitions on YouTube. You know what I mean? So,
right? No, exactly.
I get it.
Right.
LeBron was chosen very early, and Zion kind of was the same way on a lesser degree. So,
no, I mean you're absolutely right. Like he's still fun to watch.
I can't hear you again. Hold on. Let me.
Is it me? Oh, it's. Yeah, no, you're good. I'm just gonna keep talking.
I can hear you through the computer. Let me see if I can get you back on the headphones.
Anyway, like I was saying, Zion is fun to watch play, but he doesn't really move the needle as far. He just doesn't talk trash. Like he's so good that he doesn't have to talk trash, and you've got to assume the older guys, like the well-established players, don't really feel the need to try to start any beef with him because he's huge and he's like a grown man. He's 6'7", 280 pounds. He's going to throw around most adults. Most anybody.
He's definitely good. I mean, he's definitely. I think a lot of people. I was worried that he wasn't going to be able to toss people around like he did in college, but
nope.
But like we said, I just don't think outside of basketball. I think he's very Mike Troutish, where he just doesn't lend himself to really wanting to be spotlight.
Right. Between that and he also doesn't bring any attention to himself. He doesn't get into any kind of he doesn't get into spats with teammates. He doesn't give the media anything as far as post-game interviews. Even Anthony Edwards is goofy. And
did you hear him say that he thinks he could throw 100 miles per hour if you gave him a couple months to get his arm back in order?
He's 6'5", 220 pounds. I wouldn't be that surprised if
he also said
throw the baseball.
He didn't even know who A-Rod was because he didn't follow baseball. So, but he thinks he can throw 100 miles an hour.
Guys like that.
Yeah, I mean, freak athletes for sure.
Maybe that was the not the fact that he can do it. I'm saying guys like that who are like, man, I could
score a touchdown.
I could have thrown that touchdown. I could throw that ball 100 miles an hour. It's like, okay,
yeah,
you can dunk, but that's a whole different skill set. At the same time, though, he apparently did play baseball in high school, so it wouldn't surprise me if he does have an absolute cannon because again, he is a freak athlete.
Yeah, we had a guy. How's my audio? I'm doing it through the computer now because my headphones.
You sound great.
Okay, great. We had a kid, Malcolm Hill, who was a great athlete, played safety at Rice, decided to try baseball his junior year or sophomore year. And I mean, the guy, I don't know if he'd ever played baseball in his life before, trying out for the team. And he had a freaking cannon. I mean, he was firing the ball. Just freak athletes being freak athletes. So, maybe he could. 100 miles an hour is very fast. So, I
For
think
reference,
he probably throw 88, 90. Yeah, probably if you reared him up and you got him trained for a couple.
For reference, Pat Connaughton throws like 96.
Yeah, but he also,
He was also drafted in like the top 5 rounds and
yeah.
But I'm saying like dimension wise, like Connaughton's like 6'4", 200 pounds. Anthony Edwards is 6'5", 6'6", 225. Like,
and as a lead athlete.
And yeah,
Connaughton's a good athlete, but
Connaughton broke the record for the highest vertical. So he's one of the best leapers in the NBA.
Anthony Edwards is
the Irish
is electric.
But he again. I know guys like that, but back to the point though of Zion and just young players being like faces of the league. Anthony Edwards has that thing that people want to watch him in post game. People want to see him do goofy stuff. With Zion, it's just like, he's Zion.
Yeah, I mean, the most he really lended himself to the media was saying, "I love playing in Madison Square Garden the other day," and people are like, "Oh, future Nick,"
just like that.
And then he had to say, "Other than playing in New Orleans," I'm like, nobody loves playing in New Orleans. But yeah, people. That I think that's the most he's really lended himself to, conspiracies and, the media hot takes and stuff like that. Other than that, he's mostly just kind of, like you say, he's kind of silent about it. He just goes about his business and, which I appreciate. I was
going to say, I really, really like that he also doesn't interject himself into things that aren't basketball.
Yeah.
He doesn't feel the need to give his opinion on things that a million other talking heads already do on a daily basis. Maybe that's, so a lot of NBA players or just professional athletes in general get asked about social justice issue causes and things like that. And this isn't to go one way or the other with it, but he just doesn't get asked about things that are going on in the culture and things that are going on in the world outside of the game of basketball. And I think it's because he hasn't ever brought it up. He's never made it a point to bring it up. Whereas a lot of guys have. So the media's, LeBron's going to talk about this cause and that cause. So we can keep asking him. Zion's never done that. So it'd be kind of weird for a reporter to be like, "Hey, I know you've never ever said anything about this issue. What do you think about it?" It's because then that guy's suddenly like, "Man, you're the a-hole."
Yeah, I think a lot of it, I think it might be twofold. One, he's very young. I mean, is he even 21 yet?
I think he's only 20.
Yeah, he's very young. And he kind of, I mean, just the way he kind of talks and the way he kind of acts, he seems very young. He doesn't.
He probably plays a lot of Fortnite.
He's very child. I don't want to say he's childish, but he's very he's kind of got that childish bewilderment when he does things. And also, I think that New Orleans media probably also coddles him a little bit, and they're not going to put him in positions because they want him to be a Pelican for life. No way it happens, but they want to be a Pelican for life because it helps the city of New Orleans. It helps, probably, whoever New Orleans beat writer is probably is I want to be the next Windhorse. I'm going to just follow Zion wherever he goes. So I'm not going to ask him any difficult questions that might, piss him off or might, get him into the weeds.
Get him any kind of bad. Yeah, it's it's more so if you are giving a guy a question to where if he answers it one way, then this group of people is going to be upset. And if he answers it this way, if any way he answers it, he's going to upset people, then that's not cool. And the fact that a lot of players are okay with that. A lot of players bring it upon themselves to have those questions asked because they, make it a point to make that part of their brand or whatever. But Zion hasn't done that yet. And for better or worse, I appreciate it as far as just a fan of the game. Now, to like, is he going to be, is he going to be the next LeBron as far as like the face of the NBA? I don't think so, because like playing wise, yeah, but he keeps all of his game on the floor and everything like that, which again, it's what we want. It's just the way that the world works right now is you kind of got to, be larger than life off the court as well.
You say that, and I'm sitting here and I'm trying to think of young current superstars who are really interjected within, but
not even pop culture, like not even like social stuff. I'm talking about like pop culture, like getting involved in like music and doing like other types of stuff, like getting involved with brands and things like that.
Yeah, even at that, I mean, I'm trying to think. I mean, Anthony Edwards, apparently he's into music and whatnot. But like Luka doesn't. I mean, Luka is a fun personality, but he doesn't really like tip the scales when it comes to branding or it comes to world views. Ja Morant doesn't really do that. That you really hear about. So I'm trying to think of like a young superstar that could fill that void from LeBron and be that bridge, whether for better or worse.
Well, it's like the player that's going to go ahead and like take charge of like the whole league. It's like almost like the NBA Players Association president. Like the guys like LeBron or Chris Paul.
I think it's going to be Luka. I don't think it's not going to be Devin Booker. It's not going to be Zion. Probably not going to be Ja Morant. Dame's getting older.
Right. If Dame were younger, it would definitely be Dame.
But I think that's
if you were in that new wave.
Is these guys, the guys that are really involved in that now are all, around the same age or in their 30s. I think maybe Trae Young. I mean, Trae Young's kind of very social justice, music, everything in Atlanta.
Yeah, a big market for.
I think he could possibly do that. I don't think he's going to like be an Atlanta Hawk his whole career, so I think that'll probably lend itself when he goes to a bigger market than Atlanta.
LaMelo.
I don't know. I don't know if LaMelo's so young. I guess we're kind of see about that. I could see. Lonzo.
I'm just saying he's the
guy.
I'm saying LaMelo seems like the guy like that would fit all of those things and just give him 3 or 4 years of consistent play and.
Yeah, but he's also going to be in Charlotte for the next 3 or 4 years.
That's true. That does hurt the whole thing. It's just like
I'm just thinking of someone who also like Trae Young. Also seems like he might be kind of a smart guy. He went to college. Not that tips that doesn't really mean a lot, but he seems like he might be a decently smart guy, probably too. He's a point guard like LaMelo, like Luka, but I think he's a little more engaged already. I don't think LaMelo's really engaged that much yet.
Yeah.
So, and I think especially in these times, I think the person who's most engaged now from a younger generation, a younger player standpoint, is probably going to be the guy, 5-6 years from now. That's going to be,
Bronny. It's going to be Bronny
type guy.
It's going to be Bronny.
Yeah, could be Bronny.
Bronny James, and they're just well. It's like the NBA is lucky right now that LeBron James is both like the best, by far and away, the best player. Since MJ or since Kobe, whatever. Like he's on another tier, on another level. And he also happens to be a leader and like very, very involved in other things. Like he's got ambitions outside of the NBA.
Yeah, and he's involved in communities and he's poured a ton of money and
an entrepreneur and like does a whole bunch of stuff. And like regardless of how you like see him and like his politics and stuff like that, like that's not the point. The point is like he has stuff going on outside of the league. I don't think Zion
ownership.
Right, like, and again, it goes back to he's only 20 years old. Like Luka's only 21. Like these guys are all super, super young. Their only thinking is basketball. They're just trying to get to that next contract.
And LeBron, I mean, it seems so long ago when he was 20, 21 in the league, but I think he was
18
mostly
years ago.
Well, it wasn't like he was, uberly involved and engaged.
Right.
I think, 15, 16 years ago, a lot of these things weren't on the forefront of people's minds. So he didn't have to be super, super duper engaged or wasn't pushed into that. He was pushed into the limelight, but not being engaged on social topics as much as he has been in the past decade. But I can just see LeBron going right into ownership and then kind of still being
That
more of the face than I think Jordan kind of was like. He went to Washington and then he kind of wanted to step out of that limelight. I don't know if LeBron wants to do that. I think especially with Bronny coming in.
Well, the whole reason Jordan came back was because he realized that he wanted the limelight. He kind of got sick
Right.
of watching Vince Carter and Paul Pierce and all these new guys like come in and dominate the shooting guard, small forward
Right.
position. And he was like, okay, well, I need to get back and show him I can still do this at 40. But like I could see, but LeBron wants to play till he's 40, so I could see the same thing.
Is he 36 right now?
I think he's 38.
Older than that, 38. What is his age?
He's
30.
ageless. 36.
36. Still, I mean, if he was healthy, if he didn't get his first injury of his career, I think he probably wins MVP this year at 36 years old. So he's still playing at an elite level. He's still obviously better than anybody in the NBA that's packed with talent. I think he can definitely play into his 40s and still be pretty much elite.
So I guess we can kind of like almost try to forecast who, like what player like has the personality that seems like he would. But I think I think Trae Young was a great guess. It's a matter of what you've also got to gain the respect of the rest of the players in the league.
Yeah,
and I think Trae Young was like he was one of the players to receive All-Star votes. He was like top 5 for the fan voting and then like bottom 5 for the player voting. Like they're not fans of Trae Young's game.
Yeah, but I think
players.
I think with them playing well now, I think they get to the playoffs and he plays well. And that team's I kind of like that team, how they're built. Him and John Collins and Capella is playing really well and Bogdanovich. So that team is pretty not great, but it's top 5 in the East. Right now they're sitting 4. So I think if he plays well, I think, he'll continue to kind of make strides in that way. I think a lot of it, he has been sitting in Luka's shadow for obvious reasons. So I think as he kind of separates him from that, and not saying like he's going to get better than Luka, but I think just separating from that entire narrative and they're just two separate players is going to help him out a lot. Maybe like a Jamal Murray, if he comes back from an injury and is still good, maybe he could kind of be into that role. Also, I think maybe how old is Bradley Beal? Because he seems like I think he's still fairly young, and I think he might be the type of guy that could. He's 27, so I think a 33-year-old Bradley Beal. I think maybe he's probably the next guy in line. He's starting to be a little bit more vocal and showing leadership qualities and
Averaging 30 a game.
Yeah, so I think he could, especially once he leaves Washington and gets to kind of a bigger market. I think he could definitely be the next guy in line and kind of build that for whoever, whether it's Trae Young or whoever from the early 20 guys. I think Bradley Beal could be a good option. So,
no, I like that a lot. Like,
league's in great hands.
I think so. I think that's the Major League Baseball is doing a lot. Like, I think it's going to do a lot better with its young players. The NBA is already set with
it's just so saturated with talent that it's just unreal what these guys at 7 feet can do, and these guards are so electric and can leap out of the building. And they just get younger and better. So
the whole notion that people in the NBA don't play defense is ridiculous. Like, have you gone to go up to the local rec center, or go play basketball at a park, and every time someone gets by you and pulls up a shot and just bricks it, they make those in the NBA. That's the difference. Like,
and even when you play good defense, I mean, Steph hit a 3 the other night at the buzzer at the end of the first quarter, and his brother Seth was, right in him. It doesn't matter. I mean, whether you play good defense or bad defense, it's probably going to go in. And I think we've discussed this on this show before, that it's just these guys are so elite offensively, and say they miss, they're so good at drawing fouls. They're so good at getting contact that you can play great defense, force a miss, but they're going to create contact, and now you picked up a foul, they're at the line, and they're going to score. So,
well, they make like 85, 90% of their wide open threes in practice. You know what I mean? Like they just sit back and drain it. Like most people go up and they'll, wide open, just shooting warm-ups. They're lucky to make 1 out of 3, 1 out of 4. They're just flinging it up there. Like, these guys just have the muscle memory to do exactly the right thing every single time. And it's all they do. So yeah, they're kind of accustomed. It takes just tiny little things to throw off for them to miss a shot. But they're so good now. They've been doing it since they were 4. And they've been doing it right. It's not like you just got kids growing up in the 60s and 70s and 80s trying to play basketball, having to learn from the local guy who, maybe his form's not great. You're at the whim of whoever is teaching you your form and teaching you how to shoot the ball. It's not like you can just luck into it. Like, you've got to be taught it. And nowadays, with the internet and everything, kids are able to learn how to shoot from world-class, teachers. Shoot, like, NBA players take the time to go over stuff on social media and things like that and putting out videos. So these kids now have access to literally world-class coaching at any time. So of course they're going to be awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I go and we have a kind of like a nephew. He's 11 years old, and we'll go check out his basketball or baseball games or football games. And he is so much more talented than I remember 99% of kids when I was his age. And it's just amazing how far they've come at such a young age, athletically, and just, he's crossing people over, stepping back and shooting threes. When I was 11, if I crossed over, I'm lucky that I'm going to finish the crossover. And if I step back and shoot a 3, I don't have the strength. I'm airballing that 3.
Yeah.
But these kids are doing it now, and they're just so much more advanced. And that's why I always say, they just get better and younger every single year. And I mean, we all saw it coming playing 2K13. We were like, no way, this 18-year-old is going to be a 95 when I draft him. And then, Luka and Zion come out, and what do you know?
League.
They're 95 overalls. They're awesome.
Straight out of college. Yeah.
No way this, 7-foot 18-year-old is going to be draining threes. And
no way this 7-footer is going to play shooting guard, right?
Yeah. So,
and yet here we are. Where
they were onto something before we knew it. So,
6'7" Luka is a point guard now in today's NBA.
Cunningham's 6'6". He's gonna be the number 1 overall pick. And
I was gonna say, the 6'5", 6'6" point guard used to be an anomaly. It was a big deal when Michael Carter Williams was oh man, this guy's a 6'6" lengthy guard. He's long. He's pretty tall for a point guard. Now Lonzo Ball is 6'7", 6'6". You've got 6'6" is now the normal point guard size.
Ben Simmons, I mean, the list goes on. And now these 6, when you look at Michael Carter Williams and Ben Simmons, you're okay, the trade-off of them being a tall point guard is they're not going to be able to shoot, whatever. And now you don't have that trade-off anymore. Now you have these 6'7" Lukas and 6'6" Cade Cunninghams and people like that can also shoot and do everything else on the court. And now it's okay, where's the flaw? maybe with Luka, it's you lose a little bit defensively with him. But in my Cade Cunningham, he's a pretty good defender. We'll see what he's like, but that may usher in the next generation where, like, okay, we had Luka, and the trade-off was he's a little bit slower, but he's going to be able to hit threes. He's going to be able to get to the basket. He's going to be able to do everything else. He's going to be able to pass on a dime. So maybe the next generation is, okay, now we've taken away that genetic flaw where they're that big, can shoot, can pass, can do everything else, and also play defense. So now it's like, okay, where's the next flaw at? Like, how these guys get more and more advanced where there's all of a sudden they're all just good at everything and there's no major distinct flaw. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Like I said, I think the NBA is in great hands, and I think it's getting better every single year with these guys coming out. So,
well, that's probably we're well over an hour now. So I was going to say that's probably a good time to end it, because I was gonna just keep adding on to ways. Like I'm kind of real quick before we go. I just wanted to say, like, I'm worried that the NBA will get to the point where it like feels the need that it has to do something. It's like, oh, we've kept the game the same for so long. Like to your point of, what's the flaw that, players are going to fix? Like right now it's shooting. Like obviously right now it's shooting. Like everyone wants to be able to shoot better and shoot from further out, because it opens up the floor, and that's just that's the way the game, the direction that the game is going. But does the NBA at some point say, okay, we're going to add a 4-point shot?
Right.
We're going to add
like get deeper and deeper anyways.
Right. Like they're already doing it, but will the NBA feel the need to do that? Like, will it feel will it feel the pressure of, oh, we've got to make some sort of change for the sake of making a change?
Yeah. And I think you're right. I think it'd be a bad idea, but I think that's definitely, they're already toying with those ideas. So I think we could definitely assume they're going to keep making changes when they don't have to, just to keep the relevancy up. But I think we will see like more of those ideas being thrown around. College basketball's already thrown around a bunch of new changes because they have to. I think the NBA is going to keep pressing the issue, even though I don't think they have to. I think they're so advanced already. I think the game, I think they could, talk about widening the court, lengthening the court.
Well, it's okay. So it's already the NBA court. This is what when Luka, like 2 years ago or a year ago, when he said it was easier to score in the NBA than in Europe. So the NBA court's already 4 feet wider than the FIBA regulated court. So it's already, the NBA court is already bigger. So it's already, there's already the room for more space as far as that goes. Like, I just don't, like, aside from like maybe shortening the shot clock to like get more shots up, like to get more, encourage more scoring. That's like that'd probably be like the next closest thing that I could see them doing. There, I don't see them doing what the European leagues do with regards to letting the ball hit the rim and it's live after hitting the rim. Like you can, shot bounces up the rim, you can go up and knock it off, instead of having it bounce around. But that's,
But college basketball is toying with those ideas, so I think that might be a good kind of place for okay, college basketball, you screw around with those ideas, and then we'll take kind of what we want. Should be the idea, but I don't know. I think they want to separate themselves from college basketball.
You like the idea of making the ball heavier?
Yeah, I don't know.
Relearn how to shoot
medicine ball heavier, or just like a few ounces or an ounce, or
dude, just like the tiniest little adjustment is going to be like, man, this, like, I don't know how to shoot anymore. Like I'm going to have to completely relearn.
A men's ball. That tiny adjustment is big. So I don't know. I don't think they need to screw with it. I think the NBA product is pretty damn good right now. We see the NFL, they've got a great product, but they constantly try to screw with it. So, I think
Major League Baseball keeps trying to make its product better, but just gets in its own way every time.
Yeah.
They're like, they're given a scenario. It's like watching someone play like an RPG game or something. They're like, they're given a scenario, and each time they pick the wrong answer, And then it's
Right.
like, boo, you should have punished the Astros. Now everyone hates you, Manfred.
Yeah.
And then
Well, it's like, okay, you need to market your players better. Okay, we hear you. How about we push the mound back further? Let's deaden the ball. I'd like to hear his one suggestion on how to make the game better.
yeah.
I'm waiting for it. But yeah, it's like all we're asking is for them to market the game better. Let's market the game. Let's let Twitter market the game for you like the NBA and the NFL does. Let's do this and that. And they're like, okay, we hear you. But what if we have a pitch clock?
What if we make the game faster?
Yeah.
Because we all know how much you guys hate sitting around watching 3 hours of football. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
No, you don't. Oh, wait. Everyone sits their happy ass down on Sundays from noon till 9 o'clock at night
Right.
watching football all day. So no, the notion of, the game's too long. That's
Well, and then they're
stupid.
like, well, it's because we play baseball every day. And I'm like, okay, football is on literally every day in the fall. Literally every day in the fall. So
Sunday,
okay,
Monday.
excuse.
Not necessarily. I don't, maybe on Tuesdays.
Yeah, you're not
Thursday,
necessarily-
Friday, Saturday. It is on 5
And
days a
Wednesday,
week.
You might have Mac Nation going on. So
Football, college or professional
least
is on
5 days a
5
week.
days a week during the
Yep.
fall.
and then they have a bazillion. Let's see.
Huh. I
That's
kind of like that
interesting.
rule.
Kind of hockey-ish, NHL-ish.
Allow basketball players 1 punch per game. Each team gets 1 punch whenever they want. So, do you have to let the other team know? See, this is interesting. Would you have to let the
Yeah.
other team know, like, hey,
Like
time
throwing
out.
your gloves off almost.
We're gonna punch this guy in the face real quick. Or is it just in the middle of the game, guy takes the ball down the floor, boom. Like, okay, that was it. That was the punch.
Yeah. Let's
Okay.
Yeah, like throwing your gloves off like in hockey. I
guess it's one of those things that you would do at the very beginning of the game,
really set the tone.
Do you have to use your punch a game? I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't.
Yeah, if
why you
got a
wouldn't.
punch, you might as well use it. Really bring back the enforcers in the game.
Charles Oakley would still get signed like
yeah,
that.
Ron Artest, Meta World Peace. Jermaine O'Neal with his sliding punch, maybe.
Imagine that you're teams sign their favorite classic players just to come back and do this one role.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. He's gonna come punch him real quick. All right.
Have you seen the movie Goon, the hockey movie with Shawn Michael something?
Is it Scott?
Scott, yeah. Shawn Michael Scott. Where he's just an enforcer and he really can't skate very well and he doesn't handle a stick very well, but he's there just to get in fights. That's how these guys would be. That's an interesting idea. I think a good homework session for our next episode is coming up with some rules to make the NBA better or possibly worse.
Okay. Next show, our homework assignment is to come up with rule changes that would make sports better. All
any
sports.
sport. Yep. Yeah. So listeners, tweet at us. Let us know what you think would
Right
make
now, Connor's
sports
winning.
better.
We play against Connor on Sunday, I think. He's the Bears.
Yeah, it's gonna get rained out though, so
Ah,
we'll get a lot of rain on Friday. So
well, then I guess we aren't going to do our post-game barbecue burgers and stuff then.
yeah, I was really looking forward to playing at Reverchon at 11 a.m. and then going to drink heavily
Right down the street.
right down the street. But we'll table it, I guess.
Well, I guess we can do a show then this weekend.
Yeah, so that's our homework. We will get on it. Send us what you guys think. We'll tweet out as well and Facebook out, and I like that optimist thinking, Connor.
The eternal optimist.
And we'll
homework assignment for us, for you. Come up with rule changes for sports that would make sports better. All sports. It doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
Anything. Connor brought up a good one as far as NBA basketball in general. You get one punch. Each team gets one punch.
Possibly
you have to
make the
announce
ball
it.
heavier.
Make the ball heavier. That's one of them too.
Cool.
But the punch.
All right,
That was a great one.
we'll gather results. We'll send out a tweet tonight and Facebook as well. We'll start gathering results and we'll tell you why we think your idea is good or very stupid, as well as talk about our great ideas. So,
Oh gosh, are you kidding me? And then Connor calls in right at the very last second.
yes, as we're signing out.
We're not going to get rained out, guaranteed. And I have a whole list of rules, like single rule changes that'll make every sport better.
Oh my gosh! Wow, we
We're gonna need to
needed
break
to have
it
you on for the beginning, like from the jump. Did you already do this?
Well, you didn't invite me.
I sent you the link. I sent you the link at the beginning.
I was in a thing, but
Oh,
I'm serious. Like,
everyone's always at a thing.
Every time my girlfriend and I watch sports, we try to come up with a single rule that'll make that sport better.
I like
You
that.
guys,
The punch rule.
this is why the relationship's gonna last.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think we need to have him on next show.
I will provide it, and next week I may call up.
Okay, yeah.
Deal.
You're on next show, and we've got to have you on to read these rules.
Perfect. Sounds good.
It might be the whole show.
All right, boy. Good job.
All right,
Okay. The whole show?
it might just be the whole show.
Perfect.
All right, let's save sports.
I guess.
Good night, Connor.
All right. Already have one man on duty. Let's play the outro, also the intro, and everybody have a good night.
I'm just over here debating on do we? Yeah, I guess we'll end it with that instead of Dick.
Yeah, let's end it with that.
No one wants Dick. I guess it's time to go.
I'll let you guys know.
Breaking news.
breaking news,
GJ
breaking
Radio.
He looks like a Cuban that's been dead for 3 weeks.
Look in Baker's eyes. I think we were on the same level.
He looks like Matilda's daddy that sells cars.
Danny DeVito.
I think he danced in front of us for about an unnecessarily long time.
Based on a rundown.
Featuring Val. Yours truly. We're talking about
Other players, it was Maddox, Glavin, Smoltz, Avery.
Is John hit us with it?
This is all pointless right now because you have no idea what anyone's going to do in free agency.
Jeff Blauser, Chipper Jones.
I was going to say, we're Shipper.
His English is not tremendous.
Oh, whoa! What the heck?
I remember when Doug Flutie had got benched for that like 6'5", like just athletic quarterback who was trash.
I'm sorry to say this. I don't think he's been that good.
Oh, whoa! What the heck? Level.
Still, if Kevin Pritchard walked up to me, I wouldn't know.
You know, I don't think anybody is going to shy away from calling the like corrupt and money grabbers.
This is Crime Dog right here. This is D Crime. This is Fred McGriff.
They
My
had a
whole
chance-
thing
they had
is-
a chance to do that with Dak.
I never said
Music on. Is that me?
No, it's a
No.
fucking train. I'll mute myself until it passes.